The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Hi, everybody. This is Auntie Zaza's Fireside Chat, and I am Auntie Zaza. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks to Easton Cable Access Television for making this available to us. And today, I'm here at Auntie Zaza's Fiberworks and Yarn Shop, tuning in for our Season 1, Episode 2 of Auntie Zaza's Fireside Chat. For those of you who are interested, you can find more about us on our website at auntie.zaza.com. And we're located here in Easton at 104 Main Street, right in the center of town, a couple doors down from Farmer's Daughter. And we are a fiber education center. We teach knitting and crochet and various other fiber art forms. And we sell specialty yarn and needles and all the supplies you need for your fiber crafting. So come on down and see us. And today, one of the things I thought about was how we're living the dream down here. And many, many years ago, I had the thought when I was feeling grumpy on my job that I could open up a yarn store. And I had that in the back of my mind as I went through my journey here on this planet, navigating things. And it was about maybe 15 years ago, I came across an article in the fishing industry that was all about the crisis in the fishing industry and how it was that the nylon nets that had been employed by the fishermen since the 1940s were now suddenly breaking. And the younger fishermen, there were two generations of fishermen who had come up and they never learned the art of knitting or crocheting because we crochet to repair our fishing nets. And I thought that was a terrible thing and we can't lose the art of knitting and crocheting and spinning and weaving. And it was kind of then and there, I drew a line and said, I got to figure out how to make sure I keep passing down the wisdom of this wonderful art form because just takes care of so many, and it has for so long been such a wonderful practice for many women and men in being makers and creating beautiful things with knitting and crocheting. So today, one of the things I love teaching is how easy it is to make beautiful things without it being very complicated. So one of the projects that I brought today is called sequence knitting, and this is inspired by a pattern writer named Cornelia Tuttle, and she has a magnificent book all about sequence knitting that I think is about 400 or 500 pages long. This is a very simple pattern that's a knit 5, purl 5, and I've created a little alpaca scarf, or almost like a little shawl, kind of a stole, different words that we use for this object. And I use 2 strands of yarn. One is white and one is variegated that goes from the white to the gray to the black to the gray to the white. And I cast it on with white and then went down and back with one strand. And when I came to the opposite end, I picked up the next strand and went down and back. So it's one row of just white, and then one row of the variegated yarn. That's the yarn that changes color, or it's called dégradé, where it goes from the white to the gray to the black to the gray to the white. And what I've done, it made little columns. And the way that I made these little columns was actually simply doing knit 5, purl 5. So this pattern is very, very simple. You do a multiple of 10 plus 5 more, and then you start every row with knit 5, then purl 5, knit 5, purl 5. So it's a little bit mindful. You have to pay attention just a little bit, but you go down and back with one color, come down and back with the next, all the time, just alternating knit 5, purl 5, knit 5, purl 5. Because you did a multiple of 10 plus that one odd set of 5, you can always start every row with that knit 5, purl 5. So this is a beautiful, all natural, the black and white motif. And here's one that I did in a heavier yarn, so you could use any weight yarn. This shawl was done on a fingering weight. I probably used a US 5 or a 6 with a very thin yarn to create the drapey flow of this. This one I would have been on an 8 or a 9. I'm on a worsted weight yarn, and I chose a cotton. One yarn is the dark burgundy, and the other is a hand-painted cotton that just is a super fun, colorful colorway. And this is a fun project that if you've gone, let's say, to a yarn store on vacation and you just had to buy that one oddball just to remember your trip, this is a really fun project to do that will work up with any solid color. So you can use this as a wonderful stash buster if you have an oddball skein of yarn and you don't know what to do with it. I highly recommend this project. And I'll show you one more or two more versions of the exact same stitch. This one is a little baby blanket that's done exactly with the same thing. What I did differently on this is a multiple of 4. This one was done in Corsica from Barocco. That's a DK weight yarn. Again, I probably used a US 6 on it, and you can see the cute little columns. This one is very low contrast, so it's a very, very subtle, where it's kind of blue and gray in the beginning, and then it switches to green and blue, and it ends with gray and green. So very subtle transitions. And here you can see the exact same pattern. This is in a nice little project that's a pillow. So the back I did with the same thing with a knit 5 purl 5. And then I used black contrasting with a DK variegated yarn. And then on the front, I did just a smaller panel of it with doing the contrasting pop of the pretty buttons, and this pattern is available, and we do have kits for this project down here at the yarn store. So for our next lesson plan that I will offer today, we'll be looking at a particular pattern in the Noro magazine that uses a technique of knitting called mosaic knitting. So kind of similar to how I've used 2 strands of color in this project, the mosaic stitch is doing 2 rows of just knit, and then 1 or 2 rows of slip a stitch and then knit a stitch, again alternating with 2 colors. So this pattern, I'll show you here, and then we'll do a little close-up shot for you. So this was in issue 21 of Noro magazine, coincidentally the 10th anniversary issue. And I'll just pop it over here. Let me get these guys out of the way so we can see what we're doing. So that's the cover of the magazine. And the pattern, it's called Playing with Color. It's Frida Light. And the designer is Lori Steinberg. And this is using Ito yarn from Noro. I've got I guess we'll look at this camera over here. I've got a couple of samples. This one's beautiful with kind of different shades of blue and little earth tones with kind of a denim-y blue, and they're heathered with a beautiful little spin to them. This one is the one that I'm using, which is more bright earth tone colors. And then here's another one. We have lots of different ones, but these are just a couple to show you from the shop. This one is all in beautiful shades of purples and lavenders and little brown and green to go with. So I think this is like wearable art. That's what I call this. As we look at, here's one of the sleeves. So what I'm doing is creating 4 pieces that I will then sew together. There are 2 sleeves, and then I've got the front and the back, and then I create the neck. But what I wanted to show you was how fun this stitch is. What did I do with my other little flap of it? So this you can see, I think we're going to try doing it right here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm simply doing 2 rows of just knitting with the black, right? So you go down and back with the black, and then when you get to the end of the row, you're going to pick up the colored strand. And when you do that, you're going to be slipping the black and then knitting the colored one all the way down the row. So here we come to the end. I drop the black, and now I'm going to be picking up the peachy string. I'm a little bit tangled, but such is the story. Maybe I'm a lot tangled. All right, so what I'm doing is I can see that this ends with a black. I'm doing a gradual increase, and then sometimes the colors at the end, it's every 10 rows I'm increasing for the sleeve. So here I'm going to slip the black, and I've got both of my strands in the back of the work. I slip the back, and then I'm coming in here, I'm dropping the black, and I'm just knitting with the colored one. Again, I'm slipping the black, and then see how I'm stranding behind the stitch, just like that, skipping over the black one and then doing the next one. It's such an easy stitch, and it's so satisfying, and it looks so fancy. And this is one of the things I just love about knitting, is it doesn't have to be hard. These stitches, like, first off, who the heck figured this out? That's what I'd love to know. But this is just such an easy stitch where the black one jumps over, you don't do anything with it, and then boom, you just go in and you knit it. Then I'm just going to flip it as if I'm at the end of my row, because it's a little different going back. We're going to be in knitting position, so your yarn comes to the back of your work, you knit, then you have to bring it back like you're purling, jump the black one over, then go into knitting position. So you knit it, then you have to get it to the back of your work. Otherwise, you'll make a little bar over the front. We don't want that. We want that stained glass, little boxy effect. So to the back of the work, slip the black, put that yarn to the front in knitting position, and go ahead and knit the stitch. And it creates that cute little pop of color framed by the black. I'll just come to the end of the row and then flip it so we get a little good look-see at what I'm doing. Maybe we can get a close-up on it even. So boom, like right to the end, slip that last black one, and see how each one, whoops, I can see I made a little mistake right there. I'll have to go back and fix it. But see how each one is like one little purl stitch that's popping into the front. That's beautiful. That's the mosaic stitch with a slip stitch of the black, and it's framed with just 2 rows of garter stitch or just knitting, and then just knit one and slip one, knit one, slip one, all the way across the row. And I love how all these Noro colors just pop. It creates such incredible fabric. It's just really artsy and beautiful. What I will do as I finish up this beautiful Noro sweater is I will block it. And blocking is a process whereby we actually soak the pieces of our work in warm water. It's not really about washing it, but it's allowing the yarn to plume. And I always think when you're working with wool that the stitches like to be the same size as their neighbor. And they kind of figure out like, oh, this is the size that you want me to be. So you have a one chance to kind of manipulate the size of the fabric that you're making, to look at your schematic, and you can actually stretch your piece of fabric a little in the width or in the height so that it fits more the dimension of your desired outcome. And as you do so, the stitches actually figure out greater uniformity in where the size that they're supposed to be. And it's quite a magical little process. It's called blocking. And use warm bath water. I usually put it in a bowl in the sink and make it the temperature that I'd wash a baby in, and plop the pieces in. And then I literally squeeze out, you don't want to wring your fabric, but you squeeze out the excess water. And I put towels on the floor, like a beach towel, and I'll roll it up like a sleeping bag and walk on it to squeeze out the excess water. And then I lie it flat on the floor following the dimensions of the schematic in the chart so that I have the measured dimensions. And then you want to let it dry. You want to be careful on really humid times of the year that it's drying properly. So, that you're not getting moisture caught in underneath the fabric. And sometimes you'll flip the material over so that it can air dry and release that final bit of moisture. And then you sew all the pieces together and weave in your ends, and voila, you've created a beautiful sweater. And yeah, I'll bring that along. I should have it done by our next filming, so I'll bring that along so you can see it. And we're going to have some special guest artists. Some of the participants in my youth program are excited to be on camera, so they'll do a brief bio and share with you their passion for knitting and crocheting. And the kids in our classes actually make all of the same objects that the adults are making. So they can make sweaters and hats and all sorts of fun toys with a lot of detail. And well, I'll just let them be the ones to share with you the things they enjoy making with their knitting and crochet art form. So that will be coming up in our next episode of Auntie Zaza's Fireside Chat here on Easton Cable Access Television. And thank you so much to the crew for filming us. And you can find us at 104 Main Street here in Easton Center. And you can also find us on the internet under auntiezazas.com. And you can purchase all of your yarn, knitting, crochet needs. You can find on the website, or you can come right into the store and be able to see all the beautiful, colorful yarn right here in the store. We'll be happy to serve you. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Happy knitting and happy crocheting. Take care.